Guys, thank you for joining me. So here is the tutorial for the cold shoulder flutter sleeve with ruffle and the turtleneck or bishop collar with ruffle. So if you miss the A part, please endeavor to check the description box. Okay, so you can see how neatly finished. I did full enclosure. You won't even notice there's a sleeve in there, so that is why you should watch to the end. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up. Okay, you can see my bust here. So now what I did is you come from your shoulder, you measure where you want your coat sleeve to start from. Okay, so I came down from my shoulder to where I want it to stop, 2.5. So this is 2.5, and what I did was I notched it. So you can see, make sure you place them and they are equal. And then this is what I did. You can see the notch here. And you do the same thing to this other side. You measure your 2.5 from your shoulder down, then you notch. Okay, so we'll be using the lining to turn this part. So we'll turn this part from here. We'll stop at the 2.5. So but if your dress doesn't have a lining, maybe you didn't sew it with lining, if you use the plier to turn it inside, okay, but because I'm using lining, I'll use my lining to turn it and I'll end here, and then my sleeve will begin from here. Okay, so guys, I want to cut the flutter sleeve. So I came down 2.5. So from this 2.5, I'll measure from this end here to this end here. So you can see what I have is 8 inches. You can see I have 8 inches, but if you want it a little bit free, so you can do 9. So 9 is going to drop like this. Okay, so this is how 9 is going to look like. It's going to drop. Or if you want it firm, you can do 8 or 8.5. So this is how you should measure your client. I'll be using 1 inch for the radius. So I'll add my 1 inch plus the length. The length of the sleeve is 8 plus the 1 inches. That's the for the cold shoulder radius. That's 9. And then I'll sew the shoulder. I'll turn it, and then I'll turn the down part. That's half inch. So everything will be 10. So I have 10 inches. So I'll fold my fabric like this, and then I will measure 10 from the beginning, and then I'll fold. I'm using 10, so I'll fold this way. I'll mark my 10 inches and cut. So I'll be cutting 2 of this sleeve. You can see my 10. So my 10 is exactly where the label is, so I'll move it up. I don't want the label. Okay, so now I'll mark my 10. So I'll mark 10. I'll fold my fabric again, and then I'll cut it. I'll cut another one of this for the second sleeve. I have my 2 sleeves ready. Okay, so now I want to cut the radius. That's the radius is the cold shoulder part. So I'll be doing 1 inch. So this is my 1 inch. Okay, and I'll cut. So I'll cut this now. Okay, so now I need you to notch this part. It is very important. So you notch this part here. So what I will do now is to remember this part will notch. I'll cut this part open like this. So I just want to measure it so you see if we have exactly 8. If we have exactly 8, I know our seam allowance is still there. So you can see I have about 10. So I still have seam allowance to sew. Okay, our coat shoulder is 8.5. I will have 10, so we'll still have we'll still have seam allowance. So now I'll fold it back the way you can see how it is now. So I'm folding it back. Make sure the part you notch is both are meeting each other, and then I'll open. So now I want to get my armhole. Okay, so I'll mark my armhole. My armhole is 13. When you measure around your armhole, 13. So 13 divide by 2, because this will be on this side, and then on the other side of the sleeve. That's the front and the back. So you 13 will give us 6.5. Okay, so now it's not compulsory that it goes round your armhole. Okay, so you can stop somewhere. Remember, it's a flutter sleeve. So now what I'm doing now, I want to see this part that I notch. I want to bring it. I'm cutting it out so that nobody gets to see the down part of my sleeve. Okay, so I'm just blending. That is why I need this part, and you need to notch this part. So I'm just blending it. Now the reason for this, now the reason why I'm doing this, right? I don't want a situation where by the time you sew your sleeve center front, you know those kind of sleeves that when you sew you see this part dragging out, is coming down and then longer than the center front. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want that. So let me say that if you're not doing a cold shoulder, guys, it's easier, it's simpler when you're not doing a cold shoulder. What you need to do, just use your round hole armhole measurement to cut your radius. So this is the part that will go around your armhole, so you don't need to create another armhole here. So but because it's a cold shoulder, that is why I have this part, and then I'm doing another armhole here. So this will just go around your armhole. Then what you need to do is to just bring it down, cut this part, trace it down to this part that I cut, and then you blend it so that this side will not be longer than the other part. Okay, but because I'm doing a cold shoulder, that is why it's like this. So okay, so I'm cutting the armhole. So you can see now. So I won't have more than enough for my armhole. So I said I needed 6.5. Okay, so you see I have more than 6.5. So this is 7, this is 8. So I have more than enough. So what I can do is just to trim it. Okay, so this is what I have now. So I'll use this to cut my lining, and then I'll open this also. So I will now use this to cut this one. So I will just place it like this. Okay, and then I'll pin, and then I'll notch this part here. So this is it, guys. So now we are done. So what I'll do now, I will use this same fabric to cut this part, and this one that I already cut out, I'll use it to cut the lining, and then I'll cut the ruffle. So you can see the lining. I'm done with the lining. So I have 4. So I'll keep this. So this is my net. So I just folded it in a way that it will be easy for me to cut. So this is the left over net that I have from. So my ruffle is okay. I'll do it 1.5 because I'll be sewing 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'll mark 1.5. I'll cut 1.5 rather. So I'll be cutting a lot of this because I'm going to double it and then pleat it. Okay, so I'll place this now, so you can just make it easy by pinning, pin and cut. So after cutting, you grab one, so you can double it as many as you want. So I want to do 2. So if you have enough, you can still add more. You can make it 3 layers, you can make it 2 layers. Okay, so let me make this one 3. Remember it's 1.5, 1.5. So this is our armhole, and then this is the down part. So what you can do is to make sure they are together, and then you can start pleating. Then you can now start pleating. So I'll pleat, and then I'll pin it, and I'll pleat again. So remember it's 1/2 inch we added, and then you pin. You should be slow with this part, you don't have to rush it. Okay, so you pleat again, and then you pin. So this is how you keep pleating till you get to the end, till you get to this end here. So you keep pleating. When it finishes, you pick another one, and then you start pleating. Okay, so after which, and then sew. So you can see this is the right side, guys. This is the right side. Then I'll place my lining, and I'll be sewing. So as I pleat, after pleating, so it's better you pleat it round, then you place your lining, and then you sew it. You sew round, you pleat. Just take your time, guys. don't rush it. After sewing, you come over to the neck, to this the cold shoulder, the shoulder part, then you sew. Make sure after sewing you iron. Before you even iron, you check it and be sure you don't have your lining coming out. If you have excess lining, you can trim it out, okay, from this up part. Then you can now sew this side round. After sewing this part round, then you now turn it from this side. This is the armhole. Then you turn it. When you turn it out, you have your sleeve. Then you can now iron. So you take out your pin, then this one will be outside. So now on the neck part now, so what this is my zipper. So now I'll start from this zip here, from the center back. I'll measure my neck round, my neck circumference, measure from the center back, and I'll end at the other part. Okay,
so guys,
so
after
15.5,
measuring your neck circumference, so you get a sheet of paper to cut out the measurement. So you divide the measurement, the 15.5, I divided it by 2. Yes, and then I'll draw a straight line. So the turtleneck is 1 inch, okay, or I think about ½ inch, and then the ruffle will be 1 inch. So everything should be about 1.5 inch. Okay, so measure your 7.5 by 6.7578, sorry, that's my 15.5 divided by 2, and then I'll mark my center front and then cut it out. So this is the actual, I've not added seam allowance, so this is the actual neck, turtleneck before the ruffle, the pleated ruffle. Okay, so I'm cutting it out. After cutting it out, what I'll do is to use my ruler and then draw a straight line. I draw a straight line, then label 1, 2, 3, 4, and then mark up, so that you know the parts that you place, so you don't place the down, you don't place them otherwise. Okay, so now I'm cutting. After cutting, so I draw a straight line. I ruled 4 different lines on my neck, on my turtleneck pattern paper. Okay, so I took my ruler and I draw another straight line. Okay, so that will be my start point. So that's the straight line I do will be like my center front. Okay, so I get my 4 pieces. Okay, now I slashed it into 4 places. Okay, and I labeled. So I brought it up. Don't start from the bottom part of the paper, because you see the adding seam allowance for joining. Okay, so the straight line I drew, I placed the 1 as my center front, and then I come in on that one, the top. I come in to 8. That's to 8, one quarter. Okay, you can come in 3/4. You can come in half inch. Sorry, you can come in half inch, so you can see the to 8 I marked. I had to bring it down so you can see the. So I marked it, and then I'll place my number 2 from there. Okay, I'll place my number 2. So I'm overlapping my number 2 on that number 1 on the 1/4. That's
place number 2
1/4 inch. That's 1/8,
or it will overlap this part, this number
1/8 that I mark on the upper part, and then I overlap it, and then the down part, that's the part that will go around your neck, your neckline, the neck circumference. Your measure should not be overlap. You're only overlapping the top. That is the part you want them. You don't want it wide like the actual neckline.
The bottom, make sure it does not.
Okay, I have a full complete tutorial on how to draft a closely fitted turtleneck. Is similar to this. That one is more, okay, it's more comprehensive. Okay, so you can check that out. I will likely pin it in this tutorial. Okay, so I'll mark on that number 2. I will now come in again. I'll mark my 1/8 again on that part, and then I'll tape it down, and then overlap it, sorry, and then tape it down, and then make sure it aligns with the bottom part of the neckline. That bottom part is the part that will go around the neck, guys. It's the part, but it is only the up. We are trying to contour, to tighten the neck, the upper part of the neck, not the neckline, so it's not just too wide looking funny. Okay, so after my number 3, I'll mark again to it, and then overlap my number 4. So that's why I keep overlapping only the upper part. You don't overlap the down part, the neckline. You overlap the up, so it will be closely fitted. After you've gone round the 4, after placing the 4, you can see it's curvy. It's no longer straight. Once you overlap the up, it will be curvy. If it's not curvy, that means you didn't get it right. Okay, then you can now add your seam allowance. So now my neck, the upper part of my neck has been tightened, is now contoured, but the neckline, the 7 points, the 15 inches circumference that we divide into 2 is still the same. It's still the same. We didn't overlap the down part, only the upper. So what you do is to add seam allowance, add your zip allowance,
half inch.
If you want it to get to the zip, or your folding allowance, and then you cut. So this is me trying to show you how to place it on a turtleneck. So this Ankara piece you are seeing is not a turtleneck. So I can't, it's not around it, so I just got this this straight strip to show you. But this is how you will be sewing it. Okay, so you sew same way we did the ruffle for the sleeve. That is how we'll also be doing this also. So you just pleat. So the ruffle is basically pleating. You just pleat it and then use your line. You're cutting two pieces of the Ankara, and then you iron your interface on it. The interface is just to make it a little bit firm. Okay, you iron your interface, and then one will be your main, and then the other one will be your lining. You use it to turn it. So after pleating, then you now use your lining to place it, and then you pleat it.
Okay,
and you are done. So this is my lining, and then I will use it to pleat it. I will place it on top, and then sew. Remember, you are pleating, the pleat will be inside. It's after you turn the lining, that is when, after you turn it, that is when you can see, after turning it, then the neck will now be out, the ruffle will now be outside.
I'll have this I'll have it like this. So this is, so guys, so this is how far I've gone. So you can see I'm pleating it on it. So this is how I did the pleating. This is the right side. Okay. Make sure you arrange it, and then you pleat. This is the wrong side. So now I want to turn it with the lining. So now remember this, the center part will notch. So I'll look for the center here, and then I'll place it and pin. So I like sewing on the main fabric. I don't like sewing on the net, on the lining. So I'll start from the center here, and I'll sew it. So make sure you check and be sure that it's not coming out from this side, other side. So I'm sewing the shoulder, the parts that will form the cold shoulder. I will be notching it because I want it to lay flat. When I turn it out, I want it to be flat. If you don't notch, it won't lay flat, right? So after notching, I'll top stitch. So when I'll top stitch, I'll move the rough part, the part I already notched, I'll move it towards the lining, and then I'll sew on the tip. So you can see, and you can see. So if you have enough fabric and you don't mind, you can use the fabric to cut the lining. Or what you can also do is you can cut half of the fabric. You can use the fabric to cut half of this, and then the remaining part will be lining. Then you join it, so that by the time you turn, these parts will not even be showing at all. It's the fabric that will be showing. So that's another option. So what I will do is to iron. I'll iron it down. So this is the second part. So you can see both neatly sewn, and I'll iron, and then we'll go ahead and fix the sleeve. later put a hem gum inside. I just stuff it inside and then iron it. You can see how flat it is. So this the lining doesn't move. Okay, even though it won't move after top stitching. So I just decided to do that. And then this is the right side. Coat shoulder is starting from here. This part I notch here. So this is where our coat shoulder is going to start. So what it means is that, like I explained before, I'm going to turn this in. I will sew and I will stop here. Okay, grab this, fold it inside. This is the shoulder for the lining and this is the main fabric, and then you push it in together. Then you put your hand and grab it. So this is what you have. So you have both of them facing each other. Then you sew. You can see this is the right side, this is the right side, both facing each other. And then I will sew. I will stop at the point where I notch. Okay, so like I said, if you're not using lining, it's just for you to get a bias tape, then you sew, you stop there. So that one is easier. Without lining is easier. So I stopped at the point where I notch, and then I'll come over to this side. I will sew and stop at this point also. You can see the notch, you can see the notch here. So I'll repeat the same to this other side. I'll start from the shoulder. So this is also the same way you sew a sleeveless. If you're sewing a sleeveless with lining, you want to turn the armhole, you don't want any stitch around the armhole. So it's this same technique. You use the lining. So what you do is just to sew, you stop here, you sew, you stop here. Then on the other side, you put your hand from under the lining. Okay, you can even just from the bottom you finish it before you close it down. So you can see this is what we have. So I'll iron. You can see how it is now. So if I like also, but by the time I iron it's going to stay, I can also put a hem gum under just to keep it in place. So now what I will do is to fix my sleeve from here. So what I did here is what I would repeat on this other sleeve also. So now you can see, so this is our armhole. So now the armhole, one thing you should know, if it doesn't get to the, so now I'll first of all measure. So what I'm doing is 9 inches, okay, off the shoulder. My off the shoulder measurement, that's for the coat sleeve, is 9 inches. So I'll measure 4.5. So I'll measure 4.5. So I'm going to stop here. So I will just mark it for both sides. So now you can see I will just pick this. So this is where I'm going to place it on. I'm going to place this now from here, so I can sew it from here like this. So from where my sewing stops. So if I want to put my hem gum, I will go and iron first before sewing this. I will go and iron this part down before sewing that. That is if I want to put hem, if you want to put hem gum. Okay, so now what you can do, because once I join this part now, there's nothing you can do about it. You won't be able to open it up anymore. So this is it. If it gets to this point, so I want to show you 2 different ways you can finish this kind of style, this type of sleeve. So if it gets to my armhole, right, so it's stopping exactly around my armhole. So what I can do now is I will sew, and then at the end of the day I'll overlock it. Okay, but assuming it didn't get to my armhole, it stops somewhere here, I won't sew it together. I'll start sewing from here, and then I'll end here, and then I'll continue this part. I'll use the lining to close this part and then end somewhere here. That way I'm using the lining to conceal the edge, because it's not going to, I'm just assuming maybe the sleeve stops somewhere here. Like for those that after doing this you may not get it to this point, right? but because I actually, you can see that, but mine got to this point. If yours doesn't get to this point, so let's say it stops somewhere here, so now I'll pin this part. Now let's say this is your sleeve end, so now I'll sew. Now if you sew it together with the lining like this, what it means is that once you get to this part, this place will, that means you need to use a bias again to turn this part. Okay, you need to use a bias to turn this part. Or what you can do is, by the time you overlock, by the time you overlock the rough edge, and then you can now fold this inside and then sew it. But I don't want to do that, so I want to use the lining to cover the hem. I want to use lining to cover everything, so there won't be any sewing around here, so everything will be inside. So that's one way. But maybe I should just do that. But mine, you can see that the sleeve is ending at the armhole, so I shouldn't be doing that. Okay, but let me, for the sake of this tutorial, let me just do it for us to see. Okay, so this is it. So remember my 1 inch, so this is where my sewing allowance ends, so I can just grab. So one thing you can do is you can sew it first before turning with lining. So maybe I should just sew it first for you to see. So you can see how it is, right? So now what I'll do now is to continue from where I stopped from on my shoulder. I'll grab it and then I'll continue sewing it down. Okay, so I'll sew it down. So you can see that this is it. So what I'll do is to iron. So you can see the sleeve is ready, guys. You can see. So what I'll do next is to iron. After ironing, we are done. So I'll do the same thing to the other sleeve. So this is it. You can see the wrong side. So we are done. So now fix the neckline and then join the line for the down part. So start pleating. You can see the way I'm doing it. The pleat is facing up. Okay, so this is how I'll sew it to the end. So now I'll pick this other one. I'll keep it this way, I'll place it this way, and then I will sew. So what I'll do now is to iron. I'll go and iron it down and then fold one part in. After ironing, sorry. So I folded half inch inside. So I'm sewing. Okay, so this is it. I'm done sewing the first one. So I'll push this inside and then I'll tack it. So this is how it's going to look like. So but before I do that, this end here, this zip part, so I'll bring it in this way and then I will sew it. So everything is going to be inside and then I'll start tacking. So if you don't mind, you can sew, but by the time you sew it, it means the stitch will be outside. But I don't want any stitch outside, so I will tack. So this is I will just get my needle and thread. You push everything inside and then I'll start tacking. So you tack neatly, make sure So you push inside and then you tack neatly. So guys, this will bring this tutorial to an end. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. You can click on the notification bell so that you will be informed anytime, you'll be notified anytime we post a new video. So thank you so much for watching. So in case this part is too high, you can always trim it. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. So guys, if you know you got value from this video, please subscribe, share this video, like and leave a comment.